and welcome back to our lesson. In this video, we are going to show you how to use actions when one or more element would use the same action items. So I'm going to give you a use case for this. So example, we are building a survey. On the first question of our survey, we're going to ask what's your preferred flight schedule? And then we are going to add quick replies here as options for that question. Alright, so we have added options here. So the options are today, within the week, within the month, in 2 months, 6 months, and in 1 year. So if we only use the user input element, what would happen is each of these items would have a user input attached to it. So let's try to build that up. Alright, we have already attached a user input to each of the options here. So each of the user input will be saved on the preferred schedule custom variable. So all of these are using the same custom variable. And as you can see, this type of structure is not efficient and it does not really help us to manage easily our flow. So what if we have a lot of questions here? So example, we are going to add another options here. So let's try to build up another option. Okay, so we have another question here on our survey. So the question is, how many are going to travel with you? And these are the options available. Only me, less than 5, less than 10, less than 15, less than 20, and more than 20. If we again are using user input only to save the variables here, so what would happen is each of this item would be connected to a user input, which is, as I have explained earlier, not an efficient way. So let's try to build that up again. Alright, we have already built the setup for our second option, and each option here would be saved on the same variable. So the user inputs that you see here are using the same custom variable, the passenger count. I believe it's already apparent, it's already obvious that using this type of design is very hard to maintain once you have a lot of questions. Because as you can see, all of this use the same common variable and use the same response, just like this one. So this is where the common action can help us. So instead of using this type of setup, there is an alternative using actions. So let's try to remove this one and use the action element instead. Alright, we have removed all of those user inputs. What we need to do here is, since all of these options would lead to the same message, we are going to connect it to the next question of our survey. And after that, we are going to create an action element. So right click, build an action here, and attach the action on the input of our next element. And on the action, we are to configure this using the modify custom variable. So we are going to search our custom variable here. So the first custom variable that we used is the preferred schedule custom variable. So we are going to modify this custom variable. So choose this option and then add it to our action. And on the action options, there are 3 choices here. We are going to set the value from quick reply or button, set a new value by manually inputting the value here, or remove the value. And in this case, since the value are all coming from our quick reply, we are going to choose set from quick reply or button. So confirm the changes. And here we are going to do the same thing. All of the quick replies will be added to our response message. And then we are going to add another action element here and connect the action element on the starting point of our last message. So let's say, thank you. This is to confirm the values you entered. Right, so we have built the response message. So just to make our flow simple, with this will become our last message. So you can even build more questions here if you want. You can add it in there. You can add another quick reply here. But again, this will become our last message to make our flow really easy, just for illustration purposes. So we have placed here the custom variable so that after the user have reached this portion, they would see what the option they used on the survey. So let's configure the action here and modify the custom variable for the second question. So the custom variable that we used on the second question is the passenger count. So let's add this on our action, and we are going to use set from quick reply as our action option. Great. So as you can see, it's a lot simpler. It's a lot easier to use this setup than the previous setup that I have shown you. So you don't have to add each user input here one by one. If all the options are using a common action, then you can connect the option here on the input node of the next message. So the thing with action element here is the action element does not require an input node. Okay, it does not require an input node, but you have the option to add an input here if you want, but it is not required. So this is optional. All right, so just remember that when using actions, if there are cases that you won't be able to add an action element, or you want to simplify the building of your flow using actions, then you can use this setup where the action can be connected on the input node of our message. So let's try to save this and trigger our flow using the common keyword. Alright, the flow has been saved. Let's go to Messenger and type common. Alright, so this is our test message. What's your flight schedule? Let's say I want within the week, and in the next question I want less than 20. Alright, so we receive the response. Thank you. This is to confirm the values you entered. Preferred schedule is within the week and passenger count less than 20. So this setup is going to work well, and it's very easy to manage. So just remember this setup, the common action setup. So that's it for this lesson. I hope you learned a lot about actions, and we're going to talk more about chatbot flows on the coming videos. So stay tuned.